serenity and arena rock are two great tastes that don't really go great together, for the most part. And so, even if you came away admiring Kacey Musgraves' latest album, Deeper Well, which came out this past March, you might have had some reasonable questions about whether its tranquil qualities were really apt as the crucial basis of an international tour in 15,000 seaters. This is not her first time doing arenas, and it's not as if Musgraves' last couple of albums were banger-based either. But Deeper Well, excellent as it is, was so meditative that it felt like it might really be testing the mass audience's willingness to think, let's go be tranquil en masse. So here's to having possibly underestimated the cult of Kacey. Being a charter member, I should know better. Headlining the first of two nights at the Kia Forum going into the weekend, Musgraves played to a full house in Inglewood, but more importantly, to a house that valued being on her wavelength, because there's no one else in pop creating this exact waveform. For the hour-and-a-half length of her set, the singer could make you believe you were part of a nation that believed in peace, love, understanding, tolerance, a little bit of snark, cheerful agnosticism, saying goodbye to toxicity, and hello to self-care, individually and collectively. It was a mellow-ass good time. The Deeper Well tour starts out with its only special effect. At the end of Cardinal, the opening number, Musgraves climbs to the top of a semicircular globe that protrudes all night from the rear of the stage, lies down on it, and proceeds to levitate limbs dangling. It's probably a fairly simple magician's trick, but an effective one on a night otherwise unreliant on razzle-dazzle or gimmicks, sending the message that floating will be an appropriate response to the evening's music. Presumably, she is not suggesting to the audience that we should respond to current events by drifting gentle into that good night, even if the song is about the sensation of getting otherworldly signs from someone who has entered the afterlife. From there, Musgraves kept her feet on the ground, her bare feet, as the singer went without shoes all night, in the tradition of Linda Ronstadt. She's like Ronstadt as a presence, in some other ways, like the fact that she projects an undeniable glamour, but sometimes interrupts that visage by blurting out blunt, even profanity-filled statements, whether it's about what's happening or not happening in her in-ears or the state of the world. The mood remains meditative, but in a folky, not new-agey sense. Her newest songs have as much self-doubt as self-affirmation, and definitely more acoustic instruments than synths. She's great at conveying a sense of therapeutic calm that doesn't feel completely worked through yet. That's a little rough around the edges in spirit. Even if her crystalline voice remains free of even the hint of rasp, the third song of the night was Sway, which the packs of young women dotting the crowd took as a command even for numbers that held no such suggestion. The set list was ultimately divided evenly between her superstar-making album, Golden Hour, and the new one, with 8 selections from each. Her other 3 albums were afforded only 1 song apiece. Splitting it up, that evenly made for a good balance of moods, as Golden Hour was her dreamy honeymoon album and Deeper Well is her older and wiser, feeling mostly good about waking up from a slumber album. Thus, Butterflies, an almost impossibly romantic song from her breakthrough, and still an irresistible tune, even if it must seem naive to her and some of her fans now, was soon followed by the new albums, Too Good to Be True, a number about having butterflies again and being wary as hell about it. Happy and Sad, the actually semi-upbeat Lonely Weekend, the less sanguine Lonely Millionaire. Musgraves knows how to keep bittersweetness going as a theme for an extended chunk of a concert. A 4-song interlude with her band playing acoustically out on a B-stage brought up some of her most vivid numbers, including the only 2 whimsical pre-Dash Golden Hour oldies, Follow Your Arrow and Family is Family. These songs are not solely lighthearted, of course. Musgraves introduced Arrow with a good-hearted stock speech about how she made a ton of friends in the LGBTQIA+ community that hadn't really been around me. To be honest, growing up, Family, the most up-tempo, grinning and picking song of the night, had its own preamble about being from this really tiny, bitty town called Golden, which produced a roar that had the singer responding. It's not something to cheer for, really. It's really not. If you like meth, perhaps, maybe. I'm just kidding. No, it's great if you love other drugs, too. Her sense of humor, mostly under wraps, since her much wryer first 2 records, is still well in evidence in concert. That continued with the final selection she did on the B stage, for which she was joined by opening act Nickel Creek for an even wider congregation of pickers, saying they were about to do an old murder ballad, which, however plausible that sounded in the immediate company, turned out to be SCA's Kill Bill. She got more serious just prior to that with The Architect, a song from the latest album that addresses theodicy, better known as the problem of evil, and how a just God allows bad things to happen to good people, or in the context of the verses, how he allows good things to happen to just okay people such as herself. It's a lot to bite off, this anthem, which was written in response to Nashville's Covenant school shootings. But it chews easier when it's pros like Shane McAnally and Josh Osborne helping her write the tune, and when it's delivered in nearly nursery rhyme tones with a flawlessly tender soprano. On this particular night, Musgraves asked for moments of silence to send good vibes to the victims of Hurricane Helene, admitting that she didn't know whether to call it prayer or manifestation, true to the song that followed, which concluded by wondering if there's an architect